In this video, I will show you how to add generative AI visual effects right inside of DaVinci Resolve using the brand new plugin from Higgsfield. This is not sponsored by them, so everything you see is just my own experiment. So let's see how it goes and how you can actually use this for production. For this to work, I believe you need the DaVinci Resolve Studio version, otherwise the plugin will not work. We have about 300 members now in the free school community, which is absolutely awesome. I will add much more resources and templates you can use inside of the community. I have a free and a paid community in school, so if you are interested, go check it out. Let's not waste any time and let's get straight to it. First thing I did was going to Higgsfield AI, then going to plugins and downloading the DaVinci Resolve plugin. After installing it, you should be able to see it in the workflow integrations and then the Higgsfield plugin. For the first test, I wanted to change the color of this car to something like bright red. So I go to edit video, then in the prompt I say make this car a red color. Very simple, and then I hit generate.
2 hours later.
And at first glance, I think the output looks very realistic and the motion and everything is preserved. So that is good. And the good thing about this plugin is that you can import it straight away in your DaVinci timeline. So you can import into the media pool or in your timeline. Then I simply drag it over our original footage and then see how it lines up. Still, there's a big issue with these AI videos. It will compress your video and change the pixels around. It might look like your original shot, but it's quite a bit different when you go closer and look at the details. For example, here, this is the exact frame, but as you can see, it changes quite a bit. The body of the car is a bit wider and the background looks a lot more compressed. So one way we can fix that is going to the AI superscale within DaVinci, choose 4 times and then quality level to ultra. That will upscale the video and make it much more usable for your shots, but it's still not quite like the original. And when I go to composite modes and say difference, we can clearly see we have a difference in the car's body. So it's not an exact match, and the way I always work around this is just masking out the parts that you want in the shot. I can go to the magic mask tool in Fusion. For example, I want the ground and the car preserved, and then we can overlay that on top of our original. So that way the background is not compressed and it looks a little bit more refined and more like that original shot. Now for the next shot, I wanted to have large plumes of smoke and fire in the background of this airplane shot. And for that, I will try the draw to video option. And this lets you sketch your ideas and then generate a video from that. And I found that sometimes you don't have a preview in the draw to video, and that's because it needs to be an MP4 video format. If you're not working with an MP4 video in your timeline, then you can right click on your footage, then say render in place, and then choose MP4 format with a codec of H.264. And then you can pre-render this inside of your timeline so the preview will work in Higgsfield. You can always revert back to your original by right-clicking and then decompose to original. So I will sketch the fire in the background, and then the smoke, I will place these lines to get the direction of the smoke. You don't have to do this, but I placed my sketch inside of Claude and then let it generate a prompt that I can use in Higgsfield. So here it created a prompt like this: large distant oil field, burns along horizon, massive black smoke. And this text is much more refined than the prompt I would have made. You can copy this and then paste it inside of Higgsfield. Then hit send and then wait for the final render. And as you can see, it added these plumes of smoke and fire in the background, and it looks pretty realistic in my opinion. But of course, it still has that compression to it, and it's not perfect, but considering the time it took to create this effect, it's quite impressive actually. Here is another generation I made, and as you can see, the fire is not tracked in the footage and it looks terrible. But that was only because of the prompt was very vague and not refined. Just as I said before, we have some quality loss and detail loss in our airplane and in the background. And the footage also doesn't quite yet align perfectly. One way we can fix that is making sure our timeline is at 24 frames per second, because AI video is mostly 24 frames per second. But there are also other tricks we can use. For example, we can go from an AI render into our original shot. For example, here, when the airplane is getting closer to the camera, I can add an effect called smooth cut and then go from the AI render into our original shot. That way we preserve as much as possible from our original footage. If you want to add some grading to this, there's also a way to do that faster now. We can go to LUTs, and with this option, I couldn't really read our timeline. So go ahead and go to File, Export, and then current frame as still. That way we have a still we can use for our color grading. So simply upload that still and then also add a still of a color grade that you like. I change the strength to 60% and then hit generate. Then we should be able to have a LUT, and we are already in our color page with the LUT applied. And that is a really fast way to generate a look. You can also go to the key output to change the strength of the LUT. And that way we can control our colors a little bit more. We can also add a film look effect, and then also change the sliders and refine your look even more. Then another use case I would use for this is having B-roll shots AI generated when you forgot to get a certain angle or you just forgot to film something during the shoot. For example, here we have a Red Bull skydiver, and let's say we forgot to place a GoPro on the helmet or have a POV angle from this skydiver. One way you can fix that is adding a still frame from that skydiver, then create a prompt for a POV shot. We can change that to 4 seconds. 720 is fine for this. Then you can use CDance 2.0 and hit generate. And here it generated an image like this, which is pretty insane. Just as an example, here's the same prompt, but without a reference image. And as you can see, it looks quite good, but it's not consistent with our original shot. So when we use that reference frame, it looks a lot more than the original parachute. And obviously, when you look a little bit closer, it's not exactly like a parachute should be. The lines and everything is a little bit off, but for a small shot in an edit, it can work. See, there's also an option to reframe things. So if you shot something in 16:9 and you want it in the real format, you can generate that so it extends that frame. But from my testing, it didn't do that. It failed every generation. It might be because of the logo of Red Bull. I'm not sure, but I didn't get it to work. Another use case could be to remove objects. This is another fix it in post shot, but if I select this car, for example, and enter something like remove this car, then hit generate, we can also do something like that. But same issue as before, the whole shot is compressed now and all the details get lost a bit. So one way we can also change that is using the cropping option. For example, I can use the crop bottom option. So we crop the bottom frame and also the top frame. And we can even add a crop to the left and to the right, then add some softness as well. You can also use some more advanced techniques in Fusion, but this is the fastest method I found. So that way we only have that small portion that needs to be removed with AI. And all the rest of the footage is then still the original. If you look at where everything is going, AI will definitely be implemented in all of the editing software. I was also thinking of building something similar like the Higgsfield plugin, but then using Fall AI, which has access to all the latest AI models for video and photo. So similar to the Higgsfield plugin, but without the subscription and only paying per generation through an API key. It's just an idea. I don't know if you guys would use this. If there are some developers watching, maybe you can make a plugin like this. That would be awesome. So let's see what's possible. Hope you learned a lot in this video. Leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel, and see you on the next one. Peace.